end up in the PEL Phase 3. Match number 2, the last Miramar you'll see in this tournament, is a go.
That's right, Sam. The final time that we will be on the desert for the promotional tournament. And here we see ourselves going from west to east. Northern favored plane path, though, Cameron. This could be a little bit of a shift, not too drastically, but for a few teams that are going to be trying to find some southern locations.
It's certainly not the worst. And what makes this a little better of a plane path than, say, if it were literally like mirror flipped on the southern side is that there are more compounds on the north side compared to the south side because of the water. Like
yes.
that. And so as far as there's like actual literal map center, and then there's sort of concentration playable map center. And so this one actually isn't too terrible in that respect as far as how it actually impacts all the different players. And because of that, you don't really see too many teams adjusting their drops off of it. We have Zoekt and Naam, who are doing a very, very interesting drop. You don't often see players play in this position because it's basically it's an equivalent to Campo Militar, where there are some big downsides to playing in this corner, but the plane started in that area, and being able to get out of the plane super first and start looting super quickly basically cuts down on the majority of those downsides. And Zoekt and Naam, they're going to have a pretty good loot timing, and depending on where the circle goes, they may actually have a really nice straight shot because not that many teams are actually going down south.
Now, traditionally, though, Zoekt and Naam likes to land near Puerto Paraiso down in the southeastern side of Miramar, so this is going to be a bit of a shift for them as we wait for phase number 1 to pop. And up towards the north, it will be going northern plane path, northern circle, similar to one of the circles that we saw yesterday on Miramar, Cameron.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Almost identical.
Yeah.
For phase 1.
It's true. Almost identical. I'm actually seeing more teams that have chosen to drop in different locations. Like, we're not seeing anyone in Los Leones just yet. When a plane is this far north and the circle is also this far north, this is basically like a gut punch to any of the teams who do have to travel south. So it's quite lucky for those Los Leones teams, like I believe Northern Lights are one of them, that they chose to go somewhere different, because if they did try and make the full rotation down to Los Leones, it would have been really, really bad for them. The flip side is that with this many players already stacked in essentially the center or close to the center of the circle, it could get quite chaotic early on when everyone is just trying to fight for that super center position.
You're going to be looking for teams to make those far northern rotations and then enter in off the west and eastern sides to avoid that pretty big cluster.
You say that. We haven't seen that many wrapping rotations in this league.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you hope that not many people are going to be taking that same play out of your book, because if they do, it becomes extremely deadly. But there have been a few teams that have pretty much benefited greatly off of that type of transition. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those wrapping rotations. I'm just saying, judging by the games that we've seen previous in this league, I wouldn't be surprised if we still saw a lot of the teams who are south of the circle just come in straight south to north.
Tornado Energy going to be playing this one status quo as they find themselves off in El Pozo. They are a team that is just shy of breaching into the top 4 and are going to be trying to put up a similar performance or better than last game to try to effectuate that game plan as they continue on here in game number 2. Again, the final game of Miramar. If you haven't found your strategy yet on this map, in this lobby, well, certainly now is going to be too late as Zoekt and Naam starts to at least make that far transition off the western side. And Cameron, you talked about teams that could have landed in the south. This is going to be a good drop shift for them.
Yeah, because they like to go like Puerto Paraiso if they can, which that plane was totally against them. So it was almost a really good, I guess, warning shot for them to try and make a change. And they should be relatively successful. The only worry for them is that if they just want to drive along that highway, along the north, they could be driving directly through AVANGAR. But on the flip side, on the opposite coast, it's going to be Beşiktaş driving up north, and they're going to have potential blocks of their own, but they're taking the right fork at this intersection, going to be avoiding PG-18, and they're going to be doing one of the wrapping rotations where they likely come in from the east, if not all the way northeast.
No Tag also going to be doing a bit of a center up here as they make their way from west to center. On the motorcycle's going to be dropping off arrows. O'Connell possibly going to be scouting out this compound to pull off of. This will give them a bit of a high ground position as we see Unity making that rotation as well. A lot of the teams that we've just been looking at, Cameron, are teams that really have a lot on the line here. I want to kind of talk about Beşiktaş because they're a team that we talked about previously having a big lead on the leaderboards, but over the course of the last few games, they've slipped. They fell out pretty much early game, and now just 7 points from dropping out of 4th place. you got to play this game how you've been playing over the course of Contenders, over the course of the first 2 days of this tournament. You can't shift things up here.
Yeah, they, if I remember correctly, they were actually really high up on the leaderboards coming out of Contenders, and then had a good couple of opening games. I wasn't too worried about their, I guess, not great performance last game, but then combined that with Tornado Energy performing very, very well, it does put them in danger zone. Yeah,
no tag as well. But then we saw Team Vitality and Unity go out very early also. So that's what kind of opened things up for no tag and Tornado Energy. As we continue to look around, our team that rides in second place going into this game, GamerLegion, had a very, very good time, and the PELC going to be trying to extend that effort now into the PEL Phase number 3. And if they continue to play like they have been, well, they certainly will be finding themselves in one of those 16 spots.
GamerLegion right now, they're one of the teams that were really close to center at the start of the game, of this circle, and you can already see that they're kind of in a little bit of a scrappy fight of everyone just trying to wrestle over the center spot. It's... Ooh.
This could be our first blood of the game here as Orange Snow going to be exploded in the vehicle. Sure enough, as quickly as it started, Vex is able to find the kill with the AK spray. Certainly working with his teammates, but other members of Unity are in sight. Going to be trying to get some vehicle damage, possibly even a nice headshot. But the pressure is certainly all that's going to be felt, but also pressure coming in, a third party on the Vex from PG-18. Yannick, down to the south, will be able to find a few connections.
Unity already losing one player and actually only having a bus as one of their 2 vehicles. It can block a lot of shots, and so it's kind of a tank if you can get into the late game, but trying to use that for your rotations on Miramar, no less. And speaking of rotations, we got a little spinny boy out here with Encelenso, able to correct that.
Shows one of the difficulties of this Miramar map that all teams kind of feel when they make these rotations. It's not going to be easy, especially with the lack of roads, even though we have seen some dirt roads added. Vitality, lighting up the kill feed. Nasus, please. Mini 14 shots on the Northern Lights Quizzy. We'll be able to find the knock. No secure on the flush just yet, but Quickmath continues on to the southern edge of water treatment.
Should be an easy revive here. A lot of shots, basically, of these teams just shooting at each other, trying to establish pressure, but I don't expect to see any full-on engagements, even though this may look like a bit louder of an early game than we've seen previously. Just because the map is still so large, it's not really easy to make a full engagement once you get the knock at this distance. Like, look, for example, if 7 get a knock onto one of those Zoekt and Naam players up on the hill, like, what can they do out of it? Hope that he's out in the open and get the flush?
Pretty much that's going to be it, but 7 is actually the recipients of some shots. I believe that's AVANGAR that has spotted out this 7 squad up on the hillside. We'll be keeping them at bay with a little bit of pressure from the north as Zoekt and Naam's Page going to be putting out some pressure of his own, a bit of a grandstand to keep the members of that squad from rotating into his position as we look at Tornado Energy. They're a little off-center just to the west, Cameron, but they do have that high ground position. And in that 2-2 split, they're in a position to not only pick up a lot of information, but possibly even a few kills.
Melman takes a nice shot. They've got to retreat from that. It was actually nicely done in the head. I'm just going to assume that that was from no tag.
Chrome to the dome right there as he retreats. Hopefully he can find a new helmet because it's still the early game, and that's not when you want to be losing that
this
type of
may
armor.
become a fight because Page and Peltzig are staring each other down, and it looks like both squads are actually coming in to try and assist this. So this may open up to something really, really big. Tuho Juho arrives first with the bike to give some assistance, and he's actually just going to pick his teammate up and retreat off of this. They don't want to commit onto this fight too early in the game.
Reciprocity going to be one of those squads that took that far northern rotation and entered into phase number 1 on the western side just off of Oasis. A team that made a smart rotation, especially given how kind of crowded the southern and centralized areas of phase number 1 have been, but with 20 so seconds on the board until phase 2 pops, they are going to at least look to hold down into a location to await that next shift. PG-18 spots out GamerLegion, far shots from the distance, but certainly putting GamerLegion on notice that there is a squad up on the high ground.
Gonna see where the next circle shifts. Everyone's arrived inside the circle, no one's taking too much blue damage. It's basically a pretty straightforward early game, but it's once again, just like yesterday, it's gonna be a hard shift up towards the north. Curious to see if anyone's going to take those open fields on the northern side like we saw yesterday. Beşiktaş, and I think it was Riddle that had a little bit of a face-off there. But Tornado Humada is a pretty big part of this circle, as it was yesterday, I believe. But this one I think is, this time around, it's a little more center than last time. Yeah, so we may see some teams take refuge in there if they run out of spots.
I mean, look, about 20% of this phase number 2 circle is unplayable. It's out of bounds on the northern side of Miramar, so that's going to be at least drastically changing the landscape of this game with 16 teams and 63 players still alive. It's been a fairly tame early game, a lot of pressure shots going out, but not many connections, not many flushes. Ferrari Breach is going to be rolling in off of their western position, going to be likely entering through the south as they start to at least dip their way up towards the north. 35 seconds until the blue zone will start to reach in towards phase number 2, and a lot of repositions coming out inside of the circle.
Look at this by Ferrari Breachers. Why are they just driving straight up north? Okay, they're stopping right now. They're going to be getting information, while over here on GamerLegion, they actually have some nice open shots into a Vitality who need to start having good games if they want to get themselves into the top 4. They need to stop losing players early. Nasus does get out of the smoking vehicle, is able to make his way inside the building, but it looks like they've actually lost their vehicles during this rotation. Shadow is completely separated from the team way far north, and so they're going to have to really scramble, but Reciprocity just bombing straight into a building. They lose Shiv.
Shiv immediately goes down and flushed out. Hexity going to be dropped down as well. Zoekt and Naam almost about to pick up 2 kills here as Skoom is left but nothing to do except for sit off in the distance and watch his teammates fall down and out, but he's actually able to find a connection onto one of the members of Zoekt and Naam. And that's going to be a good trade back, but can he find the flush? That's going to be the all-important question here as 2 members of Reciprocity go down and out early on.
Yeah, quite early. I only have to assume that Zoekt and Naam were not peeking windows, because Reciprocity started to drive into that location as if they had scouted it out and it was completely free. On the flip side, there's a crate here, but I don't know if you can get to that roof.
But for Shiv staying alive in the first game of the day, Cameron, Reciprocity would be still having a really tough time, and they're having a tough time here. Raffi and Skoom, the only 2 members alive, and they are going to be split off from one another and definitely under fire by the likes of Tornado Energy. Skoom at least has some good optics, a good weaponry to work off of, and definitely a good compound to hold on to here. A little bit northwest off of center, but Tornado Energy is going to be playing this for the late game. They are going to be wrapping up to that far northern side of this phase 2 shift, and are going to pretty much be dominantly holding that position.
It's almost lucky for Skoom that it's Tornado Energy there, because any other team, you know, would have actually probably taken a little more time to see if they couldn't take that fight. If they recognized it was one solo player, they could have bombed in onto him, but it's Tornado Energy. They tend to play very conservative in the early game, and so they're going to play it a little safe. Now, that being said, if they get a knock, they're certainly going to push that.
Yeah, they have seen the kill feed. They would know that at that time, well, there's pretty much not left anything.
But let's go back here to Ferrari Breachers. I was questioning earlier why they're just driving south to north, because that's where everyone else is coming from. You already see them just immediately blocked out of the circle. This is why those wrapping rotations is really powerful when there's a hard shift that comes in. Because if you're on the basically worst end, like Ferrari Breachers were, you need to avoid all of that. If they did basically what Tornado Energy did.
Northern Light's going to be pulling up here. Perfect. Trying to find the frag onto Bjorn. He has no helmet, so it could be a one-tap dirt nap, but he's able to find the connection. The headshot comes out for Northern Lights, and Perfect is able to drop down Bjorn. That's going to be a good kill point, but he has to at least try to find the flush, has to at least try to find the meds, as the other members of GamerLegion quickly going to be approaching off of the east, but they have to worry about this next shift. Phase number 3 continues to be a very difficult circle to work off of, with now about 30% of this circle going to be unplayable past that northern border.
Ooh, Skoom is trying to keep Desperados away, but they could easily figure out that there's only one person here. They only hear one gun shooting at a time, and they maybe wanted to stop for this fight to try and get a couple of points, but it's not inside the circle, so they may just want to avoid it. In the meantime, Ojuho finds a nice angle onto No Tag.
It's a firefight down here to the southwest of phase number 3 as Quickmath continues to pound out the shots. Arrows of No Tag will be flushed down and out of the game. One of our first kills once again as No Tag Team, excuse me, tries to at least try to do whatever they can to continue to push up those points. They're a team that sits in a position, at least right now, to possibly breach into the top 4 if they have a few more big games today. But it's not going to be sealed just yet. 7 continues to find frags onto the members of AVANGAR, but they continue to be third-partied by the likes of Desperado.
Francario does go down. Edelweiss and Crab are able to grab this little location. They do lose a second player as well off on the side. It's Buster bleeding out, not going to get revived. You can see Raffi in the distance running up to try and group up with Skoom.
Continuing to work their way in, Desperado is going to be kind of caught in between a bit of a firefight. Thankfully for them, though, a few teams off to their east will have a few knocks to worry about and won't be able to assert that pressure, as Maxazor is able to find the flush onto Buster, but Zoekt and Naam spots out that Desperado's rotation. Talzera going to be desperately trying to find some type of deflay, but it's not going to be enough. T-Bone finds the knock. Another member of Desperado is going to be going down and out. Fake gets knocked by 7, and then the kill steal going away as Team Energy, Tornado Energy, comes in with a big kill steal.
Ooh, nice nade. He's going to finish off Desperado. That's done by Zoekt and Naam. And they're trying to go aggressive and just push in onto this. They realized that they had damage dealt to the team, and so instead of trying to rotate their way throughout the rest of the mid game, why not just go hot and get these points when they have some easy pickups right in front of them?
Vitality with a good position inside of Torre Ahumada. They're going to be as a 4-stack, definitely trying to extend their push in this game. They need those points. You talked about it, Cameron. They are a team that has been consistently in the mid-pack of this lobby, have not been able to make those big strides to find themselves in the top 4. As we have O'Connell over here trying to peek out some of the members of Riddle Esports. Shot's going to be returned back onto his position. But as for right now, no damage, going to be able to find the connections.
I would have liked to see Hjort be able to do more in that engagement, but you can see on the minimap from NoTag, Jupazik is off on the side, actually putting pressure onto him. And so this could give the rest of his squad opportunity to try and get some sort of foothold in that engagement.
Bit of a replay here. Some far shots from OK Bro of Northern Lights, able to find Edgikaz of Ferrari Breachers. Continuing on, though, in this game, Phase 4 shift about to at least pop. And for the sake of these players, there it is. It's going to be shifting back down south. A hard shift brings every bit of this circle into play. That wall to the north, the border, is not going to play any type of function anymore in this map. Almost at the 16-minute mark, Zoekt and Naam trying to desperately save Page, but the grenade comes out across the street. AVANGAR's Toke able to find it onto Pelts of Quickmath as another member of Quickmath gets dropped down. Enzo Lenzo going to be finding an untimely fate here in game number 2.
AVANGAR, they're already quite wounded, but looking back here on Ferrari Breach, you can just, their rotation didn't work out for them, which I'm personally not terribly surprised. They're out here in the blue, having to take a lot of blue damages, not able to access the circle. They seem to have lost their vehicles as well, which makes it even worse. But then Vitality, while they were all able to group up as 4 again in Torre Ahumada, they do lose one player, leaves Shadow alone on the southern side. Controlling both sides of the road can be done with 2 players on both sides, but now Shadow is left alone. And there's limited engagement that Crema and Nasus can do to support him, especially if they get engaged on both sides at once. This circle may, you know, bait PG-18 into pushing through Torre Ahumada if they don't want to loop all the way up.
Zoekt and Naam, they heard the commotion. They could be able to find a kill steal on the Quickmath if they look down that bit of an embankment, but no, they have AVANGAR in their sights, and they will be pushing out from that southwestern corner of phase number 4, trying to find Toke, but they're not going to be able to find anything just yet except for the position, and also some return fire coming in from no tags. O'Connell off of that eastern flank.
I'm surprised that AVANGAR have been, you know, staying alive this successfully so far. I like how they're staying alive, and they're like not just, you know, alive, but they're staying active and they're staying engaging with all these teams, really trying to punish as much as they can the fact that they're in the circle and Zoekt and Naam are not, even if Zoekt and Naam have the advantage in terms of firepower. We
saw Tornado Energy's example going down and out won't be a factor in this game. It's going to be a 3-man squad for Tornado Energy moving forward, but they did spot out Scoom where that damage was applied from, and they've got a pin now behind a rock. One of the 2 remaining members of this Reciprocity squad trying to not go out here in 15th place. Again, this is a team that sits comfortably in first place, but they want to continue to put up this performance. They don't want to slip and kind of have people ask, was it a fluke the first few days?
I think that's a hard question to ask if it was a fluke or not, because they're pretty comfortably in. But you're right, how this is...
The last 2 days, though, have been incredibly difficult for them, though, Cameron. It's been quite a shift off of the first 2 days' performance.
I don't know. I think Beşiktaş is the team that you want to give that sort of position
them
on.
too, yeah, definitely.
Scoom does get dropped by... speaking of Beşiktaş, does get dropped. Kompod is going to steal that kill, though. Leaves just Rafi alive, still not in the circle. Tornado Energy have really good control of that corner, and so it's going to be hard for him to find a position to kind of sneak in. But over here, PG-18 do actually go back and try and face this engagement against Vitality. It's been a trade. Yannick was actually finished while Crema is just bleeding down, but Nasus takes a bit of damage, and I really like this aggressive push by Yannick to keep the pressure on Vitality.
Pressure also coming out from that Vitality squad as Nasus Plea is going to be knocked down. Quickmath going to be eliminated. Myers gets spotted out, but the members of PG-18 continue to swarm around this compound where the members of Vitality were previously holding. They're going to be able to find the flush onto Nasus, but the question remains, do they know that Shadow had pushed his way down south across the road? But regardless, they hold on to that position, which will play, at least well for them, in the remaining parts of phase number 4. AVANGAR still under pressure, though, from the likes of Zoekt and Naam down here to the southwest, just before that shift, which will be going up towards the northeast. So yes, the positioning comes in huge for the members of PG-18 who find themselves on the eastern side of this phase, but big rotations have to come out for our teams on the west and the southern sides of this phase.
This is really big for Beşiktaş. They've actually had really widespread control of this area for the past couple of circles, and this circle is only going to give them a huge advantage because if they can hit their shots with the way that the terrain works, they're actually able to support each other even at this distance quite well, and they could easily just keep anyone from taking over their position.
That nade would have been huge had it not bounced off of the bar. That was such a calculated grenade. Unfortunately, just a sliver off as Rafi gets spotted out. Out goes Reciprocity in 14th place position, but was able to find the post-mortem grenade on top of Compot, and the kill is going to be stolen. Beşiktaş Simzi with the Mark 14 is able to find the kill steal, and will be securing that one over for his team. Tornado Energy continues on. 2 members alive. Definitely not where they wanted to find themselves here in this match with so much on the line for them and with so many teams kind of on the cusp of that 4th place. One of those teams going to be No Tag, rolling up here, able to find the knock and the flush on the Hjort of Riddle Esports as they continue to push on. They could be in a position to spot out even more, but AVANGAR under fire. Zoekt and Naam continuing to apply that pressure. They're choking Token and Nuktiv out as fast as possible.
Ooh, Talk is able to make his way inside the building. Page looked away for a split second to readjust his angle. That was a good timing for Talk. Don't know if he's going to be able to stay alive because the blue's coming in and he still has to finish his heal. It's going to be the blue that finishes him out, but Page does get a 4th point for his team. They did lose a player, and I don't know if the blue is going to give them an opportunity to revive because they have a long distance they need to run. You can see them already moving. Clib goes down to a grenade by No Tag.
Big nade. Ferrari Breacher is going to be eliminated in 12th place position. You saw in the kill feed. The members of No Tag were able to find one of the Ferrari Breachers, so continuing to pick up points from this location is exactly what O'Connell and Give It have to do. Again, one of those teams that is very close to that 4th place position. Zenson trying to stay alive for Riddle Esports, pinched in between 2 rocks. The angles are presented, and more damage is going to be applied here with the Blues on Office's back. He is going to be connected on with a headshot by Give It's M416, and out goes Riddle Esports in 11th place. 10 teams remaining, just past the 20-minute mark of game number 2 of the day.
Really like this by No Tag. They lost a couple of players early on, but they actually were able to find a good opportunity against Riddle. Hjort didn't spot them out, and that was a big misplay under Riddle's end. They were so distracted by Ferrari Breach on the southern side that they let these guys just crawl into their backyard.
Tornado Energy rolls up to these bit of a silo containers, whatever you want to call them. The structures, though, that allow them to get a bit of a high ground position as they can get on top of these and possibly spot out the likes of 7 just down to the southeast off of the current position. Phase number 5, though, will be closing out. 5 seconds on the board until that time. Until Unity, though, finds a nice headshot connection. Car 98 on to OK, bro. But teams are just trying to situate themselves for this shift, which goes up towards the north. But Beşiktaş going to have an absolute dominant hold on this circle right now. Lux in the point position as No Tag team going to be dropping out in 10th place to the likes of GamerLegion. Vex picking up a double.
The PUBG gods just saw Beşiktaş struggling the past couple of days and just giving them a huge gimme. You can see that still no one has been able to even venture getting close to them. Everyone's been staying more or less on this other side of that road. Yannick's actually gotten quite close. You can see him on the picture-in-picture in the bottom right. He's proning down.
But looking at these teams down here in that Toria Hamada area, the southern part, Unity, Northern Lights, teams that have to make these rotations up towards the north through that solo player of Vitality. Definitely not the kind of pressure that he wants on his backside, but he's going to be feeling it nonetheless as Beşiktaş starts to capitalize, able to spot out that solo player approaching from PG-18. Yannick gets flushed down and out, no longer going to be a factor on the eastern side of the circle, and that cuts off any type of rotation from that direction for PG-18.
It does, and you see how many people are going to have to try and leave Toria Hamada. Not only this engagement on the southwest between GL and Zen would just finish itself off, but this fight between Shadow and like what is it, like 3 other different squads. Whoever wins this is going to be incredibly wounded, and they're going to have to go against the full force of Beşiktaş.
Shadow does pick up 1 though, but Northern Lights are fully aware of his position. He's going to be trying to play this aggressively as the breach comes out deep in OK Bro, trying to trade out onto Shadow, but he continues to avoid these shots for now. Finds the spray, finds the knock, 1 more left with a level 3 helmet. Can he be able to find that 3rd member? He's at least going to be able to find the flush. Tornado Energy, out they go in 8th place position to the hands of Beşiktaş once again, who continue to pick up kills from this location. Team Vitality, that huge nade coming in from deep of Northern Lights, will be finding the connection, and out Vitality goes in 7th place. GamerLegion going to be following quickly thereafter. In 6th position, 5 teams remain, 12 players alive. As we check on one of these replays, it's Recurrent with that Car 98 headshot. Beautiful,
that was nice.
Beautiful shot, really quick.
Yeah, thanks for that one. I actually enjoyed watching that one. Northern Lights, they're trying to, stop the bleeding right now. Unity have a good opportunity to not push into Northern Lights, but keep Northern Lights away. Unity still need to push into the circle themselves, and by doing so, they're pushing into a road. And so they know how risky of a game it's going to end up being, so they want to get these points onto Northern Lights now while they can.
Now
Alternatively,
Unity,
PG-18, they're trying to push in.
They're feeling the hurt right now from PG-18, but Northern Lights got the window of opportunity with that knock on a blast on from PG-18. They've been able to at least apply some pressure in that direction. Recrit should have been spotted by Quizzy, and yes, the Molotov going to be coming out. The underhand toss, trying to get it right up on top of these members of Unity. Now the spray through the smoke, finds a few connections, but a frag grenade right at his feet will be knocking him down and out. Out goes PG-18. Teams are dropping like flies. 5th place, Northern Lights in 4th place. Another team going out in 3rd place right there, Unity. And now left with 2. 7 versus Beşiktaş. Beşiktaş definitely holding on to all of the circle. There's no way in hell, Cameron, that 7 is going to be able to get inside.
So this is kind of the downside of having control as well as Beşiktaş had. Because I don't know how many kills they have. This may be another one of those games that Beşiktaş wins with a very few number of kills, but it's a win nonetheless. It's something that they needed, and it's also them playing very, very well.
Yeah, Beşiktaş has definitely gotten at least a few kills. We've seen them in the kill feed be fairly active before this circle shifted onto them, but they will at least have 2 more opportunities to pick up some kill points as well as possibly that 1st place chicken dinner. But it's not said and done yet. It still could certainly change in favor of 7 if they pull off something huge. But that's exactly what they're going to have to do. Continuing to try to look, we'll be able to spot out one of the members of Beşiktaş, but also both of their positions will be revealed as both take damage. Edelweiss continues to try to take these lean peaks with the Mini 14, finds a connection, but also going to be traded back on as he has 42 HP to work off. He tried to hold that hard peak with 42 HP, but ultimately realized, I've got to retreat back to a little bit of cover and get those meds rolling.
Dropping a smoke to give himself the opportunity to heal, but with the shift in the direction that it went, the blue's going to start coming in soon. These guys need to find some quick picks, or else it's just going to be done for them.
Ooh, and Edelweiss not able to find it. Dropped down to 1 HP. There it is! Actually, with 1 HP, is able to find the first knock, but still 3 members of this Beşiktaş squad remain, and Krabic is not going to be able to find it. Out goes 7. A big Beşiktaş win and a huge Tomlin dance coming out.
I want to see how many kills they have. Because it's certainly not going to be above 10. It's probably like 8 or something with those 2. Either way, still another really good round for Beşiktaş, and a round that they absolutely needed because they were in the huge danger zone to being knocked out of the top 4. They had such a lead, not that big of a lead, but they were still in comfortably 2nd place starting yesterday. And with Tornado Energy especially doing very, very well.
Beşiktaş just has some type of magnet for late game circle center positions, especially when compounds are at play. But boy, do they play effectively off of them, and that's what secured them the chicken dinner here in game number 2, our final game of Miramar, Cameron, for the tournament.
Usually when you see players that spread out, they often get punished for it, but in the way that the terrain up there wasn't a flat field, but it wasn't so tall that you couldn't see a lot of your members by being that separated. It just gave them the opportunity to stretch out and safely control the amount of area that they had a whole box around.
Yeah, they had the numbers. They knew that they only had to work against 2 opponents, whether or not it was 2 different teams, 2 solo players, or a duo. It didn't really matter. Pretty much the same strategy to be played out there. A huge win, a necessary win for Beşiktaş, rolling in now to the final 3 games of the tournament, where teams are still going to be very close, though, to that 4th place position, going to be looking to try to take them down.
Yeah, so they may have put a little bit of a gap between them and 5th place, but Tornado Energy, who are kind of like where everyone has their eyes on now, especially after their win last, or not the win, but really good performance last game, they still had an all-right game for themselves. So Beşiktaş are they're not out of the woods just yet. They had a fair number of kills. It obviously wasn't huge. But they're still going to be a bit nervous. They're still going to be seeing them a couple of meters behind them on the track.
Yeah, definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with as we roll into the Erangel matches of today. Cameron, it's getting more and more exciting as we continue on. I think No Tag is still going to be in a good position, just like Tornado Energy. They didn't fall too short. They were able to pick up a good grip of kills with just 2 members alive. Given it and O'Connell, they didn't go down without a fight. They picked up kills on Ferrari Breachers, on a Riddle Esports, and more.
Yeah, but there's a point that we only have 3 games left, and it's, of course, all Erangel, but only 3 games left. You really need to go big. And one team that went big, of course, is Beşiktaş.